thank you everyone. My name is Renu Chaudhary and I'm from India, Mumbai. And it's a pleasure to be here in Inorgenta and talk about my favorite topic, which is jewelry. And today we are going to be talking about jewelry styling and trends, which is in the jewelry industry. So, a little bit about myself. I'm the fourth generation gem and jewelry enthusiast, and my passion began at a very young age because of my family business. And I started my social media in 2018 just out of passion to talk about gems and jewelry on an international platform. And it's been wonderful 6 years ever since to talk about jewelry, gemstones. And in these 6 years, I've also had the opportunity of conducting small tours and taking people for the sapphire mining expedition very recently, and also to the Bahrain pearl diving experience. I'll share a few tips, few images from there. Uh, this is what I'd recently done in Sri Lanka, where I took a bunch of people for sapphire mining expedition, where it was a 4 days curated itinerary, where each day we learned about gemstone mining. We visited about the Beruwala gem market in Sri Lanka, and previously I had conducted a tour in Bahrain where I took a bunch of pearl enthusiasts to Bahrain, where we explored pearl diving. We also learned about what are Bahraini natural pearls and the costing of the pearls and the pearls luster and so on and so forth. So now, getting back to the main conversation, why am I here to talk about jewelry styling and trends? So let's talk about what is jewelry styling. We all love to adorn ourselves with jewelry, but it's very important to wear the right kind of jewelry and also to wear in the right proportion. So jewelry styling is not about wearing all the jewelry that I have at one go, but one must know what to wear, and that will not only enhance your personality but also sharpen your face and and accentuate your face. So to begin with, tell me how many of us know what is the face structure that we have? Anyone? Yes? Oval face structure. How about you ladies out there? Any guess as what is your face type? Because when you wear a piece of jewelry, it's very, very important to know your face type. Anybody would like to answer? Round, yes, absolutely. So let's talk about jewelry styling, where we first and the foremost talk about the face structure, because it's very important to know your face type, because that will help you to know what sort of necklace or what sort of earring will complement your face and will sharpen your features. So to begin with, we begin with an oval face cut. Now, an oval face cut, like you mentioned, you have an oval face cut. So generally, all sorts of jewelry and necklaces complements an oval face cut. So for you, the one that you should go is probably choose for a shorter necklaces over long ones, because they will accentuate your face, but try and avoid something which is very long. If you wear a long necklace or a long pair of earring, it will make your face look all the more longer, because an oval cut has a very nice beautiful face, so you don't want to make it look more longer, right? So you'll wear something small, like a small choker necklace or a medium length necklace, and maybe a small stud earrings or a medium length earrings. So that's with oval cut. I hope this is helpful to you. Next, we will go to a round face cut, since you mentioned you have a round face cut. So a round face style is opposite to an oval face style. So jumping on to round. So here we want to highlight your face, which means your eyes and your nose. So in this face cut, we will take a longer pair of necklace, and maybe like a longer pair of earrings. And why do we do that? Because this will add length to your face. And when it adds length to your face, it will highlight your jawline and also bring shine and sparkle to your eyes and to your cheekbones. So like you said, an oval is shorter to medium length, and a round is generally like a longer version of a necklace or a earring. Now, anyone with a heart-shaped face cut or a square-shaped face cut? Okay, so let me talk about a square-shaped face. A square-shaped face is generally a face cut, which has a lot of boxier angles, right? So when we choose a pair of jewelry, we need to keep in mind that I choose a right pair of jewelry, so my angles get softened and my jawline can be enhanced. And now, how do we achieve that? We achieve that by choosing long necklaces and earrings that fall just above the chin to balance the strong jawline and to add length. As you can see here, I've chosen a longer necklace with earrings that will soften the angular jawlines. And what we need to avoid in a square face cut is something which is very geometrical or something which is very angular, because a square face cut generally has angles. So if I choose a jewelry which is very angular or geometric, it will just make my face look more square. Next, moving on, I talk about a heart-shaped face. Now, how do we define a heart-shaped face? A heart-shaped face is like something like this, which has a broader forehead and a narrow jawline. Now, when choosing a pair of necklace or a earring for a heart shape, we will choose short choker style necklaces and eardrops that fall just above the chin to create a sense of fullness around the jawline, because as the diagram shows, my jawline is very narrow in a heart shape. So to make my jawline look fuller, I will go for a shorter choker style necklace. And opposite of a heart shape comes a pear shape. As you can see in the diagram, a pear-shaped face cut generally has like a narrow forehead, but it has a sense of roundness around my jawline. Now, the right kind of jewelry that complements a pear-cut face cut would be a short to medium length necklace that draws attention to the upper body. This is what needs to be enhanced in a pear shape. So we will choose maybe like a geometric earring to balance the roundness of the jawline. And I'll avoid anything that's long, dangling earrings that emphasizes on my jawline, because since my jawline is round, I don't want to bring the attention of the people watching me on my jawline. I'll bring them to my cheekbones and to my eyes. Yes, this was a brief input about the face structure. So it's very important in any form of jewelry or fashion or styling. Balancing is the key. Like I mentioned, jewelry styling is not about wearing everything what you have, but to know the right balance, what to wear and how to wear and how much to wear. Next, in jewelry styling, it's also very important to style a pair of necklace or a earring depending upon the neckline that I'm wearing, because we don't want to crowd everything that I'm wearing with my neckline or with my jewelry. So to begin with, let's begin with the crew neckline. And as you can see in the picture, I've taken an example of somebody wearing like a short to medium length. So in this, what happens? There's a complete balance. My jewelry is seen, my neckline is seen, and there is no clash of anything, right? And you see that because my neckline is a little higher, my necklace is shorter, and my earrings are very simple and basic, like a small stud earrings is what I've chosen. Moving further, a V neckline. Now, in a V neckline, we will choose a pair of necklace that falls within the V shape. Okay, and I will avoid something which is very long if it merges with my V neckline, and I'll avoid something which is too short also. So, pair with studs or medium length earring to keep the focus on the neckline. And in the necklace, we choose a necklace that follows the V shape and lays inside the V neckline. And moving forward, collared neckline. Now, this is a very corporate look, so I will wear something very simple, very minimalistic. I will not crowd myself with a lot of jewelry, because since I already am wearing collar, nothing will be seen. So here I've chosen a statement pair of earrings to give a more polished look. And also here I will avoid long necklaces that compete with my collar structure. So basically the whole funda is very simple. We just try to keep it minimalistic and keeping a balance and harmony between my outfit, keeping a balance and harmony also in the kind of jewelry that I'm wearing. Moving forward and off shoulder. So when I'm wearing something off shoulder, as you can see in the model above, the idea is to enhance my collarbones, and the idea is to also show my off shoulder as well as my jewelry. So this is a perfect example of what you should wear in an off shoulder, which is opt for bold dangling earrings that draws attention upwards. And also we will choose choker or statement collars to highlight my bare neckline. Next, of course, like a sweetheart neckline. A sweetheart neckline, again, is very bare. So the focus has to be on the collarbones, on the neck, as well as on your outfit. So again, we will choose a short pendant or statement necklace that follows the neckline curve, as you can see in the picture. And we'll pair with medium earrings to balance a very romantic shape outline. So, well, I spoke about face cut in my first part, and I also spoke about the neckline. If any one of you all have any questions to these two segments, please do ask me. Okay, and else I can move ahead talking about the engagement rings. So, we all know that engagement rings, are a very important part, because they have a lot of emotions, they have a lot of story. So, it's very important to also keep in mind what sort of diamond shape will complement your fingers. So, to moving on, we will talk about 5 basic diamond shape that enhances and complements a finger. Now, for example, a round solitaire, which are the most trendy solitaire. So they are best for long fingers to soften the length. An oval solitaire is ideal for a shorter finger to create an elongated look. Okay, and likewise, we go on to the cushion solitaire. They suit long fingers, adding balance and softness. And in case if you also want to add more length to your fingers, so another option, as I mentioned to you previously, was an oval cut diamond solitaire. The second option is a marquise solitaire, because even when you wear a marquise solitaire, as you can see in the diagram, like a short finger will look more elongated. Then we talk about an emerald solitaire. It's great for wider fingers because they provide boldness and a sense of proportion. And lastly, a princess solitaire. They suit slender fingers, offering a delicate and a more elegant look. So it's very, very important to know what sort of solitaire will complement your fingers. So I would like to ask the ladies sitting out there, did you, because I saw you checking your solitaire. So what diamond solitaire are you wearing? The last one, the princess cut. Okay, that's lovely. Anybody else out here would like to talk about the solitaire that they are wearing on their fingers, and if that's complementing your fingers? Though of course, it's a very personal choice, because eventually it's you who has to wear the piece of jewelry. So not necessary that you would like to wear maybe an oval cut or a cushion cut, but it's always a good idea to know what sort of diamond cut will complement your fingers. Moving on. I would like to talk about jewelry trends. In my 6 years of traveling to different jewelry shows, I have noticed different trends which are popular in different regions. So today I'm going to summarize the top 5 trends which I have seen and which are generally a great trendsetter. First of all, colorful gemstones. Earlier we saw that the most important gemstones were rubies, sapphires, and emeralds, and of course, diamonds. But now, with the discovery of the new mines, we have a lot of options in colored gemstones. We have paprasha sapphire, we have paraiba tourmaline, morganite, aquamarine, we have rubilites. So, the most popular trend is the colorful gemstones because we all like to add a sparkle of color to any form of jewelry that we wear, right? And the best thing is to go for colorful gemstones. And also, like I mentioned to you, that more mines have been discovered, so the costing of these colorful gemstones is relatively very attractive versus to what I would pay to a premium gemstones like a ruby, sapphire, or an emerald. And also, the colorful gemstone hold a lot of significance in major cultures. Like as you know that in the Middle East, turquoise is the most important gemstones because it has a religious significance. And in India, well, we have a lot of colorful gemstones and people wear them according to the astrological chart. Like some gemstones like emerald, they will be very empowering. Some gemstones like ruby, because of the color, they are a romantic color. So of course, they strengthen the bond between a couple. And the yellow sapphire pukhraj, which is known in India, even that's a very popular gemstone because it's believed to protect the wearer and bring a lot of good luck. So the choice of colored gemstones depends upon your personal choice, depends upon your cultural significance, and also because it depends upon the astrological factor that you are coming from. Next, here are a few examples of colorful gemstones. And in fact, a lot of high jewelry brands like Bulgari, Cartier, Tiffany, they all have been making a lot of jewelry with very interesting color gemstones. Here are just a few examples of amethyst. We have turquoise, we have emerald out here, we have rubylite on the top, and of course, we see a very colorful watch out there. Next, layering and stacking, which is also one of the most popular trends, because this helps you to easily switch between day to night. If, say, for example, in the daytime, I'm at a corporate event, I'm just wearing one pair of pendant, but I need to go for a formal event in the evening. I can just stack myself up, stack with lots and lots of layers of pendants, maybe bracelets, maybe rings. So of course, they are very cool, very trendy, and very modern. So here you can see great examples of stacking of bracelets, stacking of rings out there. And now we talk about cultural significance, which is another popular trend which I have seen, because again, this is very, very relevant to each culture where a person is coming from. Because eventually, what is jewelry? Jewelry is nothing but an emotion which is passed down to you, from your family, from your grandmother, and so on and so forth. So, also, cultural significance plays a very important role. Like many cultures attribute protective or symbolic powers to certain gemstones or jewelry design. Like example could be an amulet or a talisman featuring the verses of Quran inscribed inside. And since you mentioned you're from Bahrain, I'm sure that you may have seen a lot of jewelry with words of Quran inscribed in Bahrain, right? So that's cultural significance. And here, of course, and serpentine also. The serpentine has been in trend for a very long time because, again, snakes, they hold a very cultural significance. Um, and here we have an example of a turquoise. We have an example of malachite, again of amethyst. And there we see evil eye, especially in Istanbul. And my friend out here, you're from Istanbul, right? So talk about like the evil eye, which holds a great cultural significance in Istanbul, right? The evil eye necklaces, pendants. Yes. So again, here we talk about cultural significance, and moving on, mixing of metals. Another popular trend is about mixing of metals. Earlier jewelry was either yellow gold or white gold or rose gold, but now again a great trendsetter is of mixing different metals. Like you can stack your yellow gold with white gold or rose gold. And in fact, most of the designers are also creating pieces of jewelry which has two metals, and in fact, even the use of titanium. And especially when I travel to the middle to Hong Kong, I see a lot of jewelry inspired by titanium and with beautiful colors. I'll show you a few examples. Right out there on the top, that's a beautiful mix of metals with the use of titanium, and it looks so colorful and so vibrant. Yeah, these are all great examples. Mixing of metals, you can see out there, that's platinum and yellow gold on the top. So it's again mixing of different metals, different mixing of different styles. It should suit you, and you should feel happy at the end of it wearing it. And moving on, pearl. Again, pearls has always been of a great significance, and that's one of the great important trend that I have seen, especially when I travel to the Middle East countries, since most of the pearls do come, like natural pearls. Here I'm talking about natural pearls do come from the Middle East countries, and especially from Bahrain. And Indian Maharajas and the Indian royal family have been known for wearing exquisite pearl jewelry. And in this image, I'm showing the image of Maharaja of Baroda. He's wearing an important pearl necklace, which is 6 strands of pearl necklace. And of course, we all have heard and seen about the most big fat Indian wedding of the Ambani wedding. And there we have Mrs. Ambani wearing another gorgeous layers and layers of pearl with a gorgeous center motif. And that's an old picture of the pearl traders when they visited Bahrain for trading of natural pearls. And these are a few more pictures. These are a few images of the most important Bahraini pearl merchants when I visited to Bahrain, and I studied a lot about natural pearls from Bahrain, which inspired me to curate my pearl diving experience in Bahrain. Next trend, let's talk about versatility. Gone are the days when people would purchase a piece of jewelry and just keep them in the locker. But now, how about if you could wear your jewelry in more than one fashion? Here we can see Lady Diana. She's wearing this beautiful sapphire choker as a necklace, and also she's wearing it as a bandana. So that's about versatility. And Boucheron had made the latest collection where a beautiful centerpiece, which could be worn as a pendant or a hair accessory or even like a brooch or like a for their partner. So jewelry is not about one piece of jewelry that you put it in your locker, but about how can two female of the same family can share it, or or the couple could share a piece of jewelry. And these are a few examples. So versatility has been in trend not recently, but since the ancient time. I've taken some great example of Queen Elizabeth. You can see that that the stomacha, as we all know, that could be broken into smaller pieces of jewelry. So where we have the stomacha in the center, which can be broken into individual pieces, could be worn as a brooch, could be worn as a hair clip. So, and even the necklace can be converted into a tiara. So these are all styling one piece of jewelry, but wearing it as the occasion demands. And these are the few examples of jewelry versatility. The first image shows a big necklace, but that necklace can be broken into 3 individual components. So you can either wear it as an emerald choker, or you could wear it as a second component, or you could attach it all together. So these are great examples of jewelry versatility. And this image again, this is of a traditional Indian armlet. But again, it could be worn as an armlet, it could be worn as a choker, it could be worn as an anklet. So again, it talks about versatility and also front and back. In this image, we can see very important rose-cut diamonds, and on the back side, we see an Indian enamel. So again, you could wear it either facing the front with the diamonds, or facing the back with the beautiful enamel work. So that's all about versatility. And yeah, so this was a brief introduction and a brief input about jewelry styling and trends from me. And talking about Pearl Experience, I will be curating another Pearl Experience in Bahrain from April 19 to 22nd. So if any one of y'all would like to be a part of it, please, you're more than welcome. You can contact me, and it will be my pleasure to be on, to have you guys on board with me. And yeah, this is just a brief little output about myself. So let me know if you guys have any questions. We have 7 minutes now, so that gives us with a good amount of time if anybody has any questions about jewelry stylings and tips. These are just few images of me traveling at various international shows, meeting industry stalwarts. And yeah. And I've partnered with many international shows, trade events, collaborated with many important jewelry brands. Of course, with a lot of media coverage. Yep. So let me know if any one of you all have any questions. It'll be my pleasure. No? Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Reem.
Thank you.
Any questions, Muriel? Trick questions.
Thank you. Hi, Rima.
Hi.
Rinu, sorry.
Hi.
So I'm super happy to see you.
Thank you.
I wait for you in Paris, you know.
Yes.
Concerning the trends, you explore the global trends, but I'm sure you will be agree, there is also trends compared to if you live in Middle East, you live in Europe, USA, in France, for example, or Middle East, India, of course. We talked about that just before. So can you just tell me about this trend? Or can we say that the trend is of course, compared to our personality?
Yes, absolutely.
And our culture, of course. And because the trend, what is it? It's subjective also.
Yes.
So you talk about the main trend of jewelry industry.
Yes.
So what do you think about that? Because, for example, in Paris, in France, actually, we have the trends of bestiaire, all about the animals.
Nice.
So
animal
this
inspired.
kind of, or the comeback of the big bracelet.
Yes.
In the catwalk. So.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that? Just to have your opinion.
So yes, so it's very rightly said, jewelry styling and trends is very subjective and it's very personal. Whatever I like is a trend that I create, correct? So again, also it depends as to what occasion I'm going to. What is the occasion? What am I wearing? So of course you will choose a pair of jewelry depending upon all that stuff. So if supposing if my hands are like completely like I'm wearing something short sleeves, then like a big cuff would be like a trend for me, right? So again, and like you mentioned about the animal inspired brooches. So of course, animals have always been a great inspiration. Nature has been an inspiration since centuries, right? So of course, animal inspired flowers, brooches have always been a trendsetter. Butterflies, yes, and yes, and in fact, most of the important jewelry houses, they've always followed some animal inspired theme, which has now become a trademark to their identity. For example, Serpenti is all, people know. Serpenti is Bulgari. Panther is Cartier. The cat, again, Boucheron. So again, each high jewelry brand has also created a lot of jewelry inspired by the animal. And in fact, if you guys follow the Big Fat Indian Wedding, even Anand Ambani, he's a great admirer of animals, right? So when at his wedding, we saw a lot of brooches inspired by the animals. So again, trend is something which I create depending as to what I like. If I like to wear animal inspired, I will make them a trendsetter. So yeah. Welcome. Anybody else has any questions? No? So we all are experts with jewelry styling and trends now. Yes? We need to shop now, yeah. So best place in Organta. Let's go jewelry shopping now. Great, thank you. Okay.